Next, we are excited to kick off our final series of design lecture series today. We will be starting with the inaugural open mic night tonight. We are honored to have Mr. Lau Kah Ho joining us tonight. Mr. Lau will be presenting on the topic Architecture Innocence. Let's give a one round of applause to him to take the stage.
Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to share with my topic with the title of Architecture of Innocence. So every day we wake up, commit, sit in front of the screen, and repeating the same routines. For many of us, the workplace has become a space of repetitions, efficiency, but emotionless. People spend 1/3 of the life indoor, in the environment designed for productivity. So I begin with the words innocence, not as a childishness, but as a purity of perceptions. As children, we explore with the incentive of curiosity. As teenagers, we question the world. As adults, especially in the work life, we repeat the routines. So the sense of innocence slowly fades, not because it disappears, but because the space we inhabit is not longer inviting him. So in the literature, Sophie was, he also write out that model representing the humans are born at the tips of rabbit's fur, where they are filled with the wonder of life mystery. However, as they age, they become comfortable, not venturing back to the initiative sense of wonder. So I define the innocence not as a narrative, but as a way of perception. And the elements are curiosity and ambiguity, faculty of wonder, sense of discovery. So based on this understanding, I write up my thesis framework in this critics and proposition. So first critique is people living as a machine life in a fast-paced world. And then the second, formalization of architecture accelerated loss of wonder and formulate architecture in the present days. So the proposition is to redefine the architectural components, to explore the definition in the architectural component that define workplace, inspire individual to rediscover their sense of discovery. So in the investigation, I interpret the human innocence through the three spatial emotions. The first one is the faculties of wonder. The emotion awakens, create the immersed space that's fostering the sense of wonder. The second is sense of discovery, the unfolding of space where one screen revives to another's. Third one is curiosity and ambiguity, the movement of complexity that invites us to pause and interpret. So to understand where we stand today, I studied the evolution of workplace. So from the evolution timeline, it started from the tailor's office designed for the efficiency. And second, go to the Burlesque craft workplace. It's aimed for the openness and interactions. And then the third one is aimed for the balance. Comes to the IT workplace and the today workplace, is emphasized on the technology and also the flexibility. By studying the current workplace, the situation, I am mapping out the different kind of situation and analyze the possible outcome. My concept is to emphasize the workplace as a rejuvenate space where people can rediscover their sense of wonder, curiosity, and the awareness of time. In the site selection process, I aim to identify the area with the high density of urbans, and I study on the KL city area. So this site is studied not only for its physical context, but for its experimental potential. The orange colors is showing the area with the positive emotion, and blue color is showing the area with the lack stimulate. This analysis is through the isovis analysis. So to the isovis analysis, I have figured out the Bangsar Seni area is a point of transition like the turning and the visual obstruction. And the last, I take the existing site, Bangsar Seni station as my site because it's representing the contrast between the monotony and rediscovery. This station is one of the KLBC's interchange hub that connect the LRT and MRT stations. Every day, thousands of people pass through this space, moving fast. Their eyes is facing on their next destination. This environment has become a mechanical choreography of repetitions. So it's a high density, a mix of locals, workers, students, and tourists create a living canvas of urban life. This is a place where movement dominates over the experience, where architecture becomes a background rather than a presence. So my design is seen to slow down this flow and turn this transition space in one area that encourages pause, reflection, and rediscovery. Through the study model and sketches, I explore how the space can evolve emotionally by using different three elements of innocence, as I mentioned just now. So the narrow passage open into a large volume, create a tension and release, layer of transparencies and reflections, produce ambiguity and curiosity, light and shadows that mark the rhythms of times. So these transitions from opens to enclosed, bright to dim, solid to void form the emotional journeys to the space. I started to observe how the Bangsar Seni works as a busy intersections. So people move faster. So the ground floor is become a big lobbies that encourage to connect the people directly from the station. Second, the space above is designed for the people to move freely, meet, explore, and explore the surroundings. The spaces are connected by corridors or turning point that trigger the curiosity. A sky bridge is linked on the both sides of the buildings. I call it human highways. It frames out the city views and create the movement when the people have the interactions on the bridge. The form spread with the solids and void, enclosure and openness, create the contrast between the open space to guide the emotional rhythm as the people move through. At the top, the observation deck is for the engagement for people to invite the people to pause and look back to the city. So this is the outcome. Okay. This isometric section, I hand sketch it. I bring the original copy. Maybe after that, if you have interest on it, I can show it up. So it shows the activity on the natural time and the human movement. The natural environments slowly blend into the buildings. Trees grows, lighting, water flow remind us that the time is always moving. This creates the awareness, not just for the environment, but our own perception within it. In this building, human is also as a part of the materials as they are moving through the corridor, staircase, bridge, and this brings the life to the space. And the material choose mostly is the brick, and it is because of the weathering effect and the etched beautifully after it. over time, the surface of the building can tell its own story. The center void connects all the levels vertically, like is the heart of the buildings, where light, air, and awareness flow through. On the left and right, the workspaces are arranged each facing the void, so people are always connected visually and emotionally to the natural lighting and the pacing of time. So these are some of the perspective view on the central light tunnel and the workspace. Here the design captures the interaction of the sunlight throughout the day. The light filter move and the fade consistently reshape the atmosphere. In the longitudinal sections, it illustrates the journey of exploration, moving from one side to another side. It's a sequence of the connection of the experience through the sky bridge and the public space, and also the sublime space under it. So this journey is unfold not only the horizontally, but also the vertically. Invite the people to move upward and also the visually upwards through the spiral staircase at the center. So it guides the eyes and also the isovis, create the movement of the curiosity and discovery along the journey. Okay. So the end, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lau, for the wonderful sharing. Now, before we proceed for the actual sharing session by our architect today, we want to extend our grateful attitude to our sponsor today. Without them, we can't have our speaker today as well. Let us welcome our sponsor today from Parmaline YTL Group, T.S. Heather Tan, to share with us his project or the technical information. Can we give her a round of applause? Thanks.
Hello. Yeah. Good evening to the members of PAM, engineers, and all the industry partners. Hi, I'm Heather Tan. So, a little bit nervous, sorry. So, today I'm excited to introduce our PAMA, which is we are doing the prefab bathroom unit, which is a modular system. So for the over 15 minutes, we will walk through the 5 key areas, which is the introduction of PAMA and its our global heritage. And then we will talk about challenges in Malaysia for conventional bathroom construction, the role of PBU in sustainable construction, the adoption and track record of PBU in Asia Pacific, and lastly, the installation method that make PBU integrate with the structural system in Malaysia. So what exactly is PBU? PBU can be defined as a prefabricated bathroom unit, which is fully assembled bathroom built off-site in the controlled environment, complete with all the plumbing, electrical wiring, waterproofing finishes and features. Once completed, it will be delivered as a ready-to-install product or module, ensuring the consistent in quality, faster installation, and eliminating all the on-site construction problem. In essence, we will bring all the precision of the PBU in the factory to the chaos on the construction site. So let's talk a little bit about our history. So Palmarin is actually last time part of NSL Group, began the manufacturing of PBU in Finland in 1968. So today, Palmarin stands as a Europe leading PBU manufacturer, employing over 450 professionals, and can be produced more than 60 PBU per day. Okay, so Palmarin Malaysia, which is to be brand under Palma brand, bring together the European technology together with the technical precision of Australia and also Singapore. Deliver a world-class, fully compliant PBU solution tailored in Southeast Asia market. And our mission is clear: to build and promote the quality, consistency, and also sustainability construction in Malaysia. Okay. Now, this one is actually how our Palmarin started in 1968 in Forsa, Finland. And before I proceed further, we will play a video so that you have a basic understanding or you can picture what is PBU all about. Okay, with that facility, I think the video speaks itself. With that kind of facility, we actually bought the same facility from Finland to Malaysia, which is our factory at Baranang, Semenyih. And of course, you are always welcome to visit our factory, and then you can see by yourself on how we're doing all this modular system. Okay, so without further delay, I will straight away talk about the benefit of using PBU. So actually, let's face the ugly truth. Traditional bathroom construction in Malaysia is always have recurring issue. The first one is water leakage, shortage of skilled labor, and delay. So with PBU, this problem is actually can be solved. So every Palma undergoes a series of testing from the waterproofing up to the tile pull-out test to ensure the quality of our bathroom unit. Because PBU is manufactured in the control environment, we actually can ensure the precision, consistent in the workmanship, and also we can ensure near to zero defect for our PBU. And we can reduce significantly reduction in material wastages, site congestion, and also installation time, because every trade is already did at the factory. We just deliver and install. So as comparison for a conventional toilet, we need around for a single floor, we need about 2 months to complete the whole toilet, around 20 to 22 units. So by using our PBU, we just roughly need around 1 week and 1.5 weeks to settle everything. So it's actually increase the speed of the installation. Next, we also promote on sustainability. So PBU contributes significantly in the environmental, economics, and also social sustainability. PBU reduce the material wastage and also promote energy efficiency and production. PBU also speed out the project completion, reduce site labor, and also lower long-term maintenance costs, because our quality is, we can ensure on our quality. And lastly, PBU create a cleaner, safer work site, and also high quality living environment. In short, we can ensure that PBU offer a smarter, greener, and safer way to build. So actually, there's quite a lot of PBU in Southeast Asia, PBU system in Southeast Asia. But why pharma we focus on the lightweight PBU? This is because lightweight PBU will reduce the crane cost and also structural dead load. Hence, you can save on your machinery costs and also transportation costs. Usually, people will think modular system is very heavy. So actually, for our PBU system, we will ensure that each unit is not more than 4 tons, 3.5 to 4 tons. That's why you don't need to have a special crane to lift out our PBU. Next, we will have a faster lifting due to and installation due to the lightweight. It's easier to repair and maintenance as well. So for our PBU unit, we are fully customizable for every single project. So actually, we will base on your project, the design by architect, and then we will do accordingly, inclusive all the finishing. And lastly, lightweight PBU can maximize the material efficiency, reduce the energy use, and also minimize the on-site defect. And all of our PBU product material use is actually green certified. Okay, so now let us look at the technical specification of our PBU. So for the concrete floor, usually it's grade 40, but it's customizable. So right now, our ongoing project, we do up to 120 grade of concrete with a slab thickness only 30 mm thick. So this one is a Singapore project. So usually in Malaysia, we're talking about 100 to 150 mm thick of concrete slab. And then we will use a dry wall as a wall system and also steel framing. So as you can see, all the plumbing, wiring, electrical is already embedded in our wall. So we just will join back to the site. And all this is our key element, and this is our short drawing. Okay, so another thing that I would like to highlight, we undergo quite high standard of checkpoints. So we develop 5 standard checkpoints for our PBU. So for the first one, we will test on the water type, which is talking about waterproofing, water ponding, and also spray test. And then we also will have a water pressure test to test for water leakage. This is also compulsory for Australia market. So for the tiles, we will check on the tile pull-out test and also hollowness test. And lastly, we will check everything before we deliver to the site. Okay, so let me touch a little bit about installation. So usually you guys will think how to install this PBU. So for installation, we will have 2 ways of installation. The first one is non-critical path. The second one is the critical path. So for the non-critical path, it's very easy to understand. For example, if let's say for a high-rise building, when the structure, the system formwork is up to level 3, the level 1 will enter for the bricks and some secondary wall. So we do something like that. So we will do a push-in method. Because our PBU is lightweight, we can push in through the loading bay, and then we just install at the located destination. The second way is a critical path. So this one is quite famous in Singapore, which is they will hoist out straight away from the ground or from the lorry to the floor. So when they cast for the level 1, so the PBU will up for the level 1 and will continue to do something like that. Okay, so all this one is the photo of our installation. So I will straight away proceed to our track record. So all this is just a few of our newly complete project. The first one is NV Resident, 1,000 over unit. So this one is waterfront. So as you can see, if you can see the bathtub, all those things is actually installed at our factory and just delivered to Singapore. So this is how we can do. Usually everything can be installed except for the glass or mirror. So the glass framing also will, can be done by us. So they will just install the glass at the side. So this one is the Park Emily condominium. This one is the dormitory. And this one is 35. This one is luxury apartment at Singapore. And this is our current project, ongoing production, Maritime House at Singapore. Okay, that's it. So before I complete, I just want to emphasize on actually PBU can solve quite a lot of issue in the toilet. Especially we can solve the leak, the workmanship issue, and also the defect. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Teoh, for the wonderful sharing on the PBU. Now let us move on to our last session today, the main highlight of our talk today. We are very happy to have architect Zeeson Teoh from Red Pin Architect to share with us on his topic, distilling spaces. Just let me read about his background before we have him on stage. Architect Zeeson is a registered architect in Singapore. He obtained his Bachelor and Master of Architecture from Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology and was shortlisted for Singapore Institute of Architects and Tailored Home Young Architect Awards, as well as the RMIT Architecture and Australian Institute of Architects Graduate Architecture Prize. Architect Zeeson Teoh became a partner at Red Pin Architect in year 2020. He has experience in designing and managing private landed residential projects, ranging from terrace houses to good class bungalow and public projects in the civic, community, and institutional sectors. Architect Zeeson holds a strong interest in forming exploration, material experimentation, believing that design is a constant conservation between artistic and context. To maintain the continuity in the city while catering the new needs to something, he sees it as a privilege, allowing him to contribute to society through architecture. Without further ado, let us welcome Architect Zeeson for his sharing.
Hello, testing 1, 2, 3. Hi everyone, a very good evening. I hope everyone is in a good spirits and thanks for coming tonight. I understand that it's a late night and everyone's hungry and taking out your precious time with family to come to these 1 hour talks, right? So I try my best to end everyone's pain within an hour so that everyone can go back and have a good time tonight. Now, first and foremost, let me thank Pam as well as Rian, for flying me across the sea to having a talk tonight. In fact, this talk was supposed to be held earlier on. Unfortunately, because of some technical issues that I have to delay until this month, but I'm glad to see everyone here tonight. So, hi everyone, I'm Zeeson, and most of people call me Z. I'm from Red Pin Architects, an architectural practice based in Singapore. Before that, let me just set my time so that I don't overtalk. Just a quick introduction to my studio. RBA was founded in 2009. We are a small practice. We work on a wide range of projects, from small-scale interventions to medium-sized developments. And once in blue moon, we might have a large projects. What matters most to us is actually not size projects, but the opportunity it offers, the ideas, and create meaningful spaces with a care and intentions. Now, I think when most of us talk about sustainability architectures, we tend to focus on metrics, measuring energy consumptions, all depending on technology to boost efficiency. But what I'd like to share today is our way of thinking about sustainability and eco-consciousness. For me, it's about returning to basics, approaching each project in a more fundamental and vernacular way, rooted in an understanding of place, material, and human experience. Just now earlier on, when the previous speakers, like Mr. Lau talking about his work, I'm quite amazed by all his isometric drawings. But nonetheless, you realize he still talked about one thing: natural lighting and natural ventilations. This is how crucial, all these fundamental basics should be integrated into architectures. Now, my view on sustainable architectures is about distilling spaces to their essence, extracting the fundamental ideas of sustainability and translating them into our design thinking across all scales of projects. So tonight, I hope I can share a few projects from extra small projects to a slightly larger projects. Now, starting from a small project is Go, a transformable jewelry experience store located in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Gong is more than just a retail space. It is designed to allow visitors to engage with jewelry in a personal and immersive way, blending craftsmanship, storytelling, and experience. When we first saw the plan, the space felt extremely compact. It's just a 28 square meters, square-shaped unit inside a shopping arcade. It's actually located at Star Hill. Unfortunately, it has moved on, but I will tell you guys the story later on. Now, although its footprint was small, sorry, just give me a second, just try to adjust this. Hello. Okay, although its footprint was small, it presented an exciting challenge on how we could achieve a strong design impact within such a tight constraint. During our first meeting, the client shared an interesting graphic that showcased the geometry of their jewelry pieces. It derived from previous design. This graphic forms an integral part of the brand's identity and visual language, and it became a key source inspiration for our design. Now, while initially considering it as an individual jewelry that could translate into fixtures, I find it fascinating that it can be envisioned into a potential floor layout for the retail needs. This approach gives the layout an organic, ever-evolving quality that resonates with the client's jewelry design concept, making it an especially compelling idea. From this point, the design discussion naturally shifted towards creating a space that both visually striking and ever-evolving, a space that could capture public attentions. This is important to us as this is the first project that we have in Malaysia, and I hope after today's talk we will get more of that. And we wanted design to make a strong and memorable impressions. Now, the client mentioned that she had only signed a 1-year lease, which meant she might need to move out if the business didn't go well. She had moved out from the store, but actually the business do very well, all right? Because she's moving to a bigger stores. Now, this challenge actually inspired a design solution that allows the store to be relocated as needed. I imagine the layout not as a traditional retail space, but more like an exhibition area. One that reflects her brand identity while remaining flexible and adaptable to changing needs. This focus on flexibility, adaptability, recyclability really resonated with the client. It met her immediate requirement and importantly prepared her for the possibility of moving in the futures. You can see the layout is organized around many modular 300 by 300 mm pedestal, which is an ideal size to display most of her jewelry pieces while still allowing comfortable movement around the space. Here we explore a few layout options for the experience store, designed to be adaptable depending on different events and needs. There are various layout options that we experimented to make it more inviting and curate the movement of the customers within the space. Some of the test layout were arranged in evenly spaced out and in the horizontal manner, some in the vertical manners, to explore customers' approach patterns. So these are some of the experiment layout that we made together with client just to see and test out what are the best suit her needs. Now, this is the final base layout, which incorporates permanent storage thoughtfully concealed behind the mirror for the client. The store design fixtures are flexible and can be repositioned as needed, creating a dynamic and adaptable layout. This approach not only makes the space visually interesting, but it also emphasizes reusability. We are very pleased with the outcome, as it successfully balances functionality, flexibility, and thoughtful design. The following perspective illustrates the evolutions of the design process, taking you from the initial concepts to the final outcome, highlighting how ideas develop and transform along the way. An important consideration during this process was selecting materials that balance durability, practicality, aesthetic, and portability. The chosen materials needed to be lightweight and withstand repeated transport and handling without easily damage. As such, careful thought in material selections was crucial to ensure the design could function effectively while maintaining its intended visual appeal. I mean, to be honest, a lot of times when we start the design, right, we tend to love the design for the final outcome for just a nice pictures, right? And then put it in the website and, to get the best award. But a lot of time, I think, thinking ahead in the maintenance is something crucial to a client. And therefore, in this case, we are demonstrating in that sense. So what you see for the following few pages, these are the design process thought. Some looks beautiful, some looks colorful, but some of them, there are a lot of constraints in terms of the durability. And therefore, we end up with the final outcome. This is the final outcome of our build proposal, which incorporates the client brandings alongside a base optimized layout that fits their everyday needs. The layout can be reconfigured according to events and usage as required. The introduction of fabric ceiling complements the aesthetic of the space and can be easily removed and reused. Tying in with the concept of movable pedestal, together with these elements, it embodies the main design intent of projects, which is emphasizing flexibility, functionality, and sustainability. The adaptable elements reflects a floor layout that can be adjusted to fit various conditions and events. The flexible elements allows design fixtures to serve multiple purposes, functioning as both display pedestal and tables. The pedestal was carefully designed to perfectly suit the intended use for displaying the jewelry without using more material than what the client needed. Now, actually, a year has passed, or more than a year, and this modular features has since been moved to various other locations as intended. The client has actually moved, as I mentioned earlier on, so this is really a test of whether our ideas really works. Now, what you can see here is that this is set up at different locations. Transforming it into a pop-up store for a few weeks is a great example of how the design flexibly allows it to be reused creatively across different settings. This is a more recent image where they move into the bigger stores, showing that the client has moved into new stores, and it demonstrates how the design is practically reusable and adaptable to different spaces. Whether it's against the straight wall or curved wall, it works perfectly well for her. Now, I see this as a unique experiment in this scale, offering a valuable opportunity to observe and learn from real-world applications. The insight gained here will be extremely useful when considering how to translate these ideas into a larger scale projects in the futures. For example, exploring how modular sustainable elements can be adapted to different spatial contexts could inspire more flexible and resource-efficient design across a wider range initiative. It demonstrates that thoughtful design isn't just about aesthetics. It's about creating adaptable solutions that are both functional and environmentally responsible. And with that, I will move from a commercial project to a more personal scale, a residential project back in Singapore. In this case, we were involved in the addition and alterations of a condominium unit, where the focus shifts from public experience into a character of private living. Here's the existing floor layout. As you enter, a narrow corridor just try to point out. So this is the main entrance, right? So as you enter, a narrow corridor leads to a kitchen and living area, followed by another long corridor connecting to the bedroom. Now, the client's main objective was to increase the storage and create a calm, minimalist home. At present, the space feels cluttered and underused, with areas like the planter box, balcony, and the space between the living room and kitchen not being fully utilized. Fortunately, the client gives us a significant freedoms, like total freedoms, right, to make major alterations, including removing unnecessary walls, which allow us to reimagine the space as open, functional, and serene. When I say freedom, he really allows us to hack every single walls. I mean, it have to be like legally, right? Now, however, we, and I personally believe that the space could be optimized in a more thoughtful way. Instead of removing entire walls, selectively removing partial walls could achieve the same goals, improving flow and maximizing storage and enhancing openness, while remaining the true spirit of additions and alterations. This approach would allow us to meet the client's requirement efficiently without overhauling elements unnecessary. More importantly, it saves him some money. Sorry, that was a joke, but okay. Now, the first step we took was to begin identifying undefined and underutilized areas, such as the space between the foyer and the living room. These kind of areas, right? This space presented opportunities to be redeveloped into a more meaningful and functional zones. The idea was to start by removing minor structural elements to create a wider space, both physically and visually, and then redefine the area with new functions and additional storage. We partially removed a few internal walls, such as those at the entrance and beside the dining area. By opening up the space, we were able to create a brighter and a more connected environment and introduce new functions, including a dry kitchen and a study corner for the children. We convinced the client to reconfigure the layout by swapping the position of the living room and dining room. Originally, this was the developer and development's standard, but we convinced them to swap, and I will explain why we do that. This change enhances circulation between the kitchen and the new dining areas. While improving the functionality and efficiency of both spaces, we also took the opportunity to carve out a study area for the children within the existing workspace. Optimizing the use of space, this adjustment not only visually opens up the home, but more importantly, allows natural light and ventilations to penetrate deeper to the house. So what you see in the magenta or the pink color lines shown on the plan, that is the design that highlights the new interventions in this home. With the redesigned spatial layout, the entryway has been opened up from the previously narrow corridor, and we're able to emphasizing the view on the large greenery outside while allowing more natural light and cross ventilations. The previously underutilized planter box next to the dining area has been transformed into a flexible and movable banquet seat for the dining table, allowing to accommodate more people comfortably. The design also encourages the client to open the windows more frequently, enhancing natural ventilations and fostering a closer connection to the outdoor greenery. By reducing unnecessary demolitions and hopefully integrating new design elements, this addition and alterations becomes more meaningful. It avoids the creation of excessive new elements and respect the existing structures and conserve construction materials, making the design both practical and sustainable. This is the existing entrance to the house where visitors are greeted by the narrow and rather dark corridor. It feels enclosed and uninviting, something we wanted to transform into a more brighter and more welcoming entry. Now, here is a new built entryway, which we open up to a frame and a direct line of sight towards a large greenery outside. This simple move immediately transformed the arrival experiences, bringing in light, openness, and a strong visual connections to the nature right from the moment you step in. This was the previous enclosed kitchens and narrow entryway, filled with numerous cabinets that obstructed the flow of the space and make the kitchen and living area feel visually cluttered and less aesthetically pleasing. Now, the space in between was also undefined again, underutilized, serving only partially as a circulation area without clear functions. I'm sure everyone will agree, those who have kids, this is how the house looks like, right? Now, there are solutions. Okay, we provide a solution to them. We carve out a dry kitchen as part of the newly opened kitchen and entryway, creating a visually wider space while allowing more natural light and ventilation to flow through. Behind the concealed door on the left is the existing, it's actually a hidden door here, all right? Behind the door actually is a rejuvenated wet kitchens. The existing marble floor finishes was retained. In fact, we asked the client to retain, so to just save a cost because the condition was good. So we just repair and repolish rather than being completely replaced, preserving its characters while enhancing its appearance. This is the existing kitchen space before it was reconfigured. Now, this is how the wet kitchen looks like right now. I mean, to be frank, we took the pictures after the project complete. I'm sure right now it may be in a mess. But nonetheless, I mean, we create more storage to hopefully conceal most of the things. This was the existing living and dining areas. The balcony and planter box were underutilized. And the client often keep the windows and curtains closed to hide the clutter. As a result, these spaces were largely unused. Again, a missed opportunity given the direct view of the beautiful greenery outside. To the right, a long dark corridor led to the bedrooms, separating them from the main living spaces. Due to the positioning and orientations of the living and dining areas, the entire space felt narrow, both physically and visually. This shows the transformation of the space. We carefully remove small portion of the back wall. while preserving its function as a study area, creating a more open and connected environment. Visually, the house now feels significantly more spacious, and more importantly, this change allows natural light to penetrate deeper into the home, brightening previously dark corners and enhancing the overall atmosphere. By reorienting the living area to face a feature wall, right now here, facing the other side, the circulation space now integrates seamlessly with the living area, creating a sense of flow and continuity throughout the home. To enhance both functionality and flexibility, we introduce a small dry counter with integrated storage. This allows the family to use the space for entertaining guests while maintaining order and organizations. Additionally, this setup visually functionally extends the living area to the balcony, blurring the boundaries between the indoor and outdoor spaces. The result is a dynamic, adaptable space that can easily accommodate gatherings, encourage interactions with the outdoors, and optimize natural ventilations, all while maintaining a clean, minimalist aesthetic. With the movable banquet seat that moves in and out, the reason why you have to move in and out because you have to move backwards so that the window can be closed. Now, the dining area now flows seamlessly from the interior to the exteriors. This design encourages the family to make greater use of the outdoor space and take advantage of the natural ventilations instead of relying solely on the air conditionings. By visually and functionally connecting the indoor and outdoor areas, the space feels more open and inviting, creating a pleasant outdoor-like environment that enhances the family everyday living experiences. Again, this is the existing condition of the house, looking from a foyer into living areas, showing a large number of items from the client. The client actually likes to collect Lego. This is the view looking from the living space towards the dining area, while creating additional storage. You guys will be very curious, where is the storage, right? Actually, all the timber panels they're looking in these pictures, they're all storages. Now, of course, while creating additional storage could have resulted in a monolithic interior facade, we actually took the opportunity to curate the design and transform the cabinetry into a timber-like feature wall. Various openings break up the scales, allowing light and ventilation to pass through the adjacent spaces, and several open cabinets also provide display areas for the client's Lego collections, adding a personal and playful touch to the home. If the client requires privacy, an integrated day curtains can be drawn to conceal the space while still allowing natural light and airflow to pass through. When the curtain is closed, it provides softer, diffuse lighting, offering a flexible solution that balances privacy with a bright and airy atmosphere. There wasn't an existing study area for the kids, so with a small adjustment to layout, there used to be a wall here, but we have removed it. So by removing it, we're able to create one where they can work while enjoying the view of the lush greenery outside. Next to this space is a client's works area, and with the guest bathroom located behind the study. This is a client's working area facing a beautiful view outside the windows. We converted the bay window into a lounge sitting area where they can sit and relax while enjoying the scenery. Again, this was the mess from the parents. This is the existing kids' rooms, right? Which have limited storage, no study area, and underutilized bay window in the original layout of the house. We designed a practical and comfortable space for the kids to learn and play. On the left, there's a writable wall for drawing, and under the raised tatami platform, we added storage. On the right, we created a study area with integrated cabinets. And the kids sleep on the Japanese-style futons that can be stored away when it's not in use. This space is flexible enough to transform into a tea room, which ties into one of the client's hobbies. In such an older condo development in Singapore, bay windows were commonly included in the design, allowing developers to count them as gross floor areas, or in return, you guys have to pay for it. if you guys understand, right? So while waiving certain development charges with authorities, this created a big problem for most of the houses in Singapore back then, right? Most of the bay window space was difficult to use and it's very hard to utilize. Now, to make better use of it, we introduced a timber platform beds over the bay windows in both the kids' room and the master bedroom, transforming these previously underused areas into a functional and practical spaces. Now, of course, we can't remove the bay windows because it's the structurals of the condos, right? But we can make it better. The introduction of this new timber platform makes the room feel visually larger by effectively utilizing the bay window space. In addition, the area beneath the platform serves as a storage, optimizing the overall functionality of the rooms. Now, bringing the outdoors inside using natural elements and designing with eco-consciousness principle isn't unusual. I'm sure you guys seen this 1,000 times before. But what makes this project special is that we've applied all these ideas in a small high-rise apartment. Even in a compact urban living, careful planning and connection with nature is possible, showing that sustainable and thoughtful design can work at any scale. Minimizing unnecessary demolition of existing elements and enhancing the space with practical intervention transform it into a meaningful environment. This approach offers a way to redefine sustainability in architectures and also focusing not just on materials or energy, but on thoughtful adaptations and lasting value. If you guys don't mind, just have a sip of water. Okay, we're almost there. We're almost there, right? Now, our next project is a frame house. A new corner terrace residence that demonstrate how passive design strategies can be seamlessly integrated into the architectural concepts. This house was built on a modest budget for a small family and features 3-story along with a semi-covered roof terrace. So one of the primary challenges, guess what? Is the budget. Okay? 10 out of 10 projects, most of the time, the first constraint is always budget. But don't get me wrong, that's not a big issue. It's just a common issue or common concern in many construction projects. I'm sure all of you here will agree with me. Now, rather than compromising on quality, we approach the issue from a different design perspective. By thoughtfully applying a range of passive design principles, we introduce a simple yet effective idea to significantly reduce the use of concrete. This approach not only lower one of the major construction costs, but also maintain a focus on aesthetic, efficiency, and sustainability throughout the overall design. So, in the first instance, the house is designed with simple levels, avoiding multiple mezzanine floors, and is organized into 3 main parts: front, center, and rear. Minimal materials are used externally with plaster and paint and brick block forming the primary finishes. As mentioned earlier, our approach to sustainability emphasizes reducing the use of concrete wherever it's possible. Structural materials such as concrete and steel rebar are minimized by limiting the floor-to-floor heights for the first, second, and third story to between 3.1 meters to 3.3 meters. So it's actually pretty low compared to a typical landed house. If anyone who stay in landed house, you guys can go measure tonight and see what's your ceiling height. Most of the time, in Singapore at least, it exceeds 4 meters. When you buy a landed house, you want a high ceiling. I'm sure that is a common idea. Now, because of that, suspended ceiling are used minimally to maximize the clear height of each space, which directly reduce the use of plasterboard. This approach aligns with both our eco-conscious design principle and the client budgetary requirements, demonstrating that thoughtful material choices can achieve sustainability without compromising functionality or comfort. We introduced the idea of framing, which addresses two key requirements: ensuring privacy from the corner roadside locations, which in line with the owner's desire to avoid being overlooked. And secondly, providing thermal comfort from a tropical sun, particularly since parts of the front and long side of the house is facing the harsh west sun. To achieve this, our initial intention was to design the facade in layers with varying depths of recess, serving a passive measures to reduce heat gain and reflecting sustainable design approach. The foyer and main entrance. So this is the entrance area, this is the foyer area, are articulated around a reflective fish pond that establishes a tranquil threshold between the car porch and the main house. Beyond its aesthetic presence, the pond facilitates natural evaporative cooling and enhances cross ventilations, while offering a visual focal point from the adjacent living areas. So these are living areas. Large sliding glass door enable the living space to remain open to the outdoors, allowing natural airflow and maintaining privacy through careful spatial layering. At the core of the plan, the dining area anchors the home. The dining area anchors the home around a central access that accommodates a generous garden. The landscape void allows the growth of tall trees that provide shades, privacy, and a visual buffer from the street, creating a comfortable and engaging setting for family gatherings. Now, despite the site compact footprint, the facade is conceived as a composition of layered planes and articulated recesses, a strategy that we consistently apply throughout the design to reduce solar heat gain. This enhanced shading and enriched spatial depth. Together, these architectural elements define a cohesive relationship between the interior and exterior spaces. A two-story void between the front bridge block wall and the interior facilitates natural ventilations, creating a comfortable and airy environment while maintaining the privacy from the neighboring properties. The double height foyer emphasizes openness and volume, creating an inviting space that visually connects the interior with the exteriors. The use of simple and traditional materials is both cost-effective and deliberate. Carefully articulated of the facade, they provide a refined aesthetic while supporting the design, sustainability, and ease of constructions. We also carve out a recessed niche for the main entrance door. So this is not a conventional main entrance door, which is just a sliding glass door instead of timber doors. But this creating a more defined arrival experience while providing privacy for the public view. What good about creating this niche for the main entrance is that this screen actually screen off the car porch. If you realize you're driving around all the landed homes, you will directly see the doors. So in the way how we design, we usually try to create a niche so that it creates more privacy to the main doors. From the second story bedroom, the view extends down to the entrance foyer, highlighting the double height void and the sense of openness throughout the house. The layout encourages the family to keep the windows open, allowing them to enjoy natural breeze and enhancing cross-ventilation throughout the house. This view taken from the living room looking outwards, this is what I just mentioned. Technically, behind the screen is actually a car porch, but you don't see that. It creates a nice backdrop for the living space. Now, this is a side elevation. As I mentioned earlier on, this elevation is facing the harsh west sun. And therefore, the full height windows of the bedrooms are oriented towards the shorter side of the house instead of this side, leaving the longer facade relatively uninterrupted and visually restrained. By setting back the central portion of the house, the rear bedroom gain access to more indirect views and natural light, enhancing the sense of openness and privacy. So, we also create a deep roof eave to shelter away the harsh west sun in the afternoon. The house is designed to remain naturally ventilated at all times, with a permeable breeze block facade and a continuous roof terrace opening that encourages cross ventilation while allowing warm air to escape through the top. Given the depth of the terrace house, skylights are strategically placed above the central staircase to draw daylight into the interiors, illuminating what could otherwise be a dim and enclosed core. The articulation of the design is defined by the strategic placement of solid walls to shield against the harsh west sun, balanced with carefully positioned openings that draw natural light and ventilation into the interior spaces. This approach enhances comfort and responds sensitively to the tropical climate, forming the fundamental design strategy of the house. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the staircase space transforms from day to night, in atmosphere enhanced by the gentle interplay of indirect skylight that softly illuminates the areas. The second story staircase area is brightened by the adjacent soho space, where a row of windows allow natural light to filter through. This is a third story entertainment room, which faces the west sun. To minimize heat gain, again, the windows opening were deliberately reduced to only what was necessary, ensuring the space remains comfortable without compromising daylight. This is just a typical walk-in wardrobe that was requested by the wife. He wanted to look as expensive as he could and as exposed as he could, because he wanted to put all the LVs and, I don't know, Hermes bag. And therefore, but beautiful crafted porcelain green tiles paired with cement bridge block enable effective natural ventilations in the bathroom. The generous pattern of opening encourages airflow while preserving privacy, creating a refined balance between, creating a balance between the functions and comforts. But what I do get a feedback though, like it actually doesn't provide enough privacy. So actually in the end we have to integrate a roller blind on top. So this may not be the most perfect solution at this moment, but we indeed provide them a solution in the end. Frame house is a modest, humble design. Simple materials such as plaster and painted walls, cement vent blocks, and homogeneous tiles are used throughout the projects. Yet, it successfully achieved the objectives set out for it. Given the project constraints, we were compelled to approach the design thoughtfully, which led us to redefine it to focus on the essentials and minimize the use of unnecessary materials. This strategy not only optimized construction efficiency, but also achieved a careful balance between aesthetic and sustainability. This house demonstrates that passive design does not need to be an afterthought, aimed solely at the meeting energy efficiency requirements. On the contrary, it can be seamlessly integrated into main design concept, enhancing both livability and comfort for the occupants. And the last project I want to share today is on a slightly larger scales. It is the adaptive reuse of Delta Sports Centers, where instead of tearing down and rebuilding, we make incisional alterations and reconfigurations to update this old building for current use. In the aspects of sustainability, I believe we can all agree that the most effective way to be sustainable is to build less. Here, we sought to make a meaningful impact not by just adding new facilities, but by making purposeful subtraction to unlock new spaces. The project is located in Red Hill, Singapore, on a site that is approximately 3.25 hectares, with a gross floor area of close to 11,000 square meters. Delta Sports Centre is strategically situated about 600 meters from the nearest public train stations, which we call MRT, and is surrounded by a mix of public and private residential areas. Now, before we delve into the design details, I would like to briefly touch on the history of the site. Understanding its background provides valuable context and helps highlight our design intent, showing how the existing building integrates seamlessly with new interventions. Delta Sports Centre was initially completed in 1979. It is to fulfill the recreation needs of nearby residents, with a focus of promoting an active, healthy lifestyle. 3 primary facilities were constructed, including the indoor sports hall, the football pitch, as well as the swimming pool complex. In the 1980s, Singapore intensified its focus on nurturing sports talents, leading to the installation of artificial hockey turf, which replaced the original football pitch. And in the 1990s, the construction of the MRT viaducts disrupted the connection between Delta Sports Centre and the Redhill estates, including the original entrance from Tiong Bahru Road. So this is Tiong Bahru Road. I will mention these 2 roads, Tiong Bahru Road and sorry, this thing is quite hard to, and Alexandra Road on the other side. Now, despite this, several upgrades helped Delta remain a popular competition venue throughout the decade, particularly for hockey and basketball. Over time, however, more advanced arenas emerged, and the Delta facilities are no longer used for high-level competitions. The courts remain in high demand by residents, often fully booked, while the need for the larger spectator bleachers has significantly reduced. We have identified several key challenges in the rejuvenation of this building. First, the lack of proper drop-off point complicates the entrance approach to Delta Sports Centre. Second, we show on the plan on top, the complex frontage at Tiong Bahru Road is obscured by the MRT portal and track. You can see the top right photo there. And number third, the rear wall along Tiong Bahru Road also obstructs the view, offering no insight into what lies beyond. Number 4, the complex is nearly invisible from Alexandra Road, and its appearance from Alexandra Road is stark and lifeless. And number 5, number 5, the long connection linking the indoor sports hall to the swimming pool complex is not well defined, and the 3 venues are almost perceived as separate buildings. So what you see on top right is Tiong Bahru Road, where you can't really see a Delta Sports Centre from there. And the bottom right pictures is the existing or previous Alexandra Road, the facade, and how the sports centre looked like. Now, responding to the challenge in program and context over time, our interventions retains the existing structures while introducing a few deliberate strategic tweaks. The first concept was to connect the 3 separate venues into an integrated sport complex via a single active bridge. This is one of a few initial sketches illustrating our design visions, the red areas being our interventions. Our goal for Delta Sports Centre is to strengthen and enrich its role as an integrated sports hub, ensuring it remains a vibrant, relevant destination in the city while fostering a welcoming community spaces for all users. Our interventions connect the 3 previously independent venues into an integrated complex through the introduction of one active bridge. This elevated thoroughfare links the overhead bridge at Tiong Bahru Road directly into the complex and extending all the way to the northern boundary, which is Alexandra Road. We introduced new bridge connections to link the existing public overhead bridge, allowing pedestrians to move seamlessly from Tiong Bahru Road to Alexandra Road, effectively connecting key public commute points. Along the eastern edge, we remove walls and fences to enhance permeability, creating a welcoming entry for residents from Henderson Crescents. We also collaborated closely with the client and the authorities to open up the Delta Sports Centre boundaries, recognizing the positive impact this would have on the surrounding community. Today, the Sports Centre offers a fully accessible thoroughfare during operation hours, while select points can be secured after hours to ensure safety. The project initially required the design to be on the building scale, but through our design process, it gradually expanded to consider a larger urban context, connecting it through and thoughtfully with the surrounding environments, improving the urban conditions of Redhills. Now, this is a Delta Sports Centre as seen from Tiong Bahru Road before its rejuvenations. I think they have one of the quite largest pool in Singapore. And now, this is a present Delta Sports Centre after its rejuvenations. You can see that the building now is clearly visible from the road, and the connection between the public and private bridge has improved the accessibility, making the sports centre more welcoming and integrated with the surrounding context. The earlier editions of the Redhill MRT in the 1990s introduced an infrastructure bunker that had blocked the sports centre from the surrounding neighbourhood for almost 30 years. Now, to give Delta Sports Centre a more presence, we added a striking elevated box housing a new 1,000 square meters fitness gym, which hovers above the train track. Beneath it is a structural shelters, a teaching pool, creating a dynamic and functional layering of spaces. You'll notice a prominent use of red throughout the complex, and that is not because of red bin architects. This isn't just an aesthetic choice. It's a reference to area history. Redhill, or Bukit Merah, got its name from the red earth that was once excavated here for brick making. And there are a lot of brick factories used to operate on this site itself. To honor this history and create a sense of continuity across the entire sports centre, we choose a deep red colour, connecting the past and present in a subtle but meaningful way. This is a reconfigured first story plan. Okay, I won't go through in detail, and don't expect everyone to understand the plan in one glance. But this is a reconfigured first story plan, where you can see how we introduce greater porosity around the edges by removing wall and fences. Just for context, back then, around the perimeter of the whole sports centre is with fences. So technically there will be only like 2 main entrances to enter the sport complex. But we fight hard with the authorities and the client to make it boundaryless so that the entire space can be entered from all entire perimeters. Now, these interventions update the sports centre for the current social and physical context, while thoughtful spatial planning has reconfigured the ground floor to support more effective and engaging public use. A close-up view of the integrated bridges and covered linkways on the first and second story. Sorry, I think if you guys ever have a chance to fly in Singapore, I mean, you can give me a text, maybe not a call. I can personally give you guys a personal tour. It's a very meaningful project that me, myself, and the firm has accomplished. Oopsie. Okay, all right. Yeah, so a close-up view of the integrated bridges and covered linkways on the first and second story illustrate how these connections transform the complex, enhancing its presence and strengthening connectivity with the diverse neighborhood surrounding the expansive site. So what you see, all the red bridges and red roof, is all the new integrations. We are so fascinated by the red. In fact, everything is red. Well, this is the main draw-off point, where the newly constructed elevated gym block not only shelters the teaching pool, but also serves as a main entrance space to Delta Sports Centre. This is the main entrance to the swimming pool complex. Underneath the gym block, where you can see the interface between the old and new building, you must be asking, where is the old and new? And this is the part that we're most proud of, because the whole idea of this additional alteration is to seamlessly integrate the old and new. is so integrated, it's so seamless that you can't even tell. And that's the truth. This is the newly introduced sheltered teaching pool located beneath the gym block, as I mentioned earlier. You can see how the space visually connects to the second-story link bridge, creating a vibrant and lively atmosphere throughout the sports center. This is the interior of the new 1,000 square meter gym. Windows wrap around the facades to maximize natural light, while the concrete fins are strategically placed to shield the space from the afternoon sun. The gym also offers multiple exterior views of the city and the pool complex, creating a comfortable and engaging environment in public. For information, if you are citizens or even PR in Singapore, to enter these gym facilities, you only need to pay less than $2. Now, the bird's-eye views highlights the swimming pool complex, illustrating the relationship between the existing building, the top left, which is the existing building, and the new gym block on the bottom left, and the rejuvenated pool areas on the right side as part of the A&E development. Within the pool complex, we introduced a dedicated kids' wet play area and a wading pool while preserving the original 50-meter lap pool complete with its starting blocks. Just to clarify a little bit, if you remember the first picture I showed you guys, the pool was originally this big. But because it was underutilized, and there's no point for us to just remove the entire pool, so we proposed to just cut it half, make it smaller, but integrate with new programs. On the other side, this is a 50-meter lap pool. This is the existing pool that we also kept. Now, we have retained the original competition pool, including the iconic starting blocks, preserving the heritage and character of the Delta Sports Center, while integrating the new intervention around it. The elevated gym box not only houses new facilities, but also frames the surrounding environment from multiple angles, offering visitors a unique perspective of their neighborhoods. This is the second and third story plan, illustrating the connection throughout the entire sports center. As mentioned earlier, previously 3 separate buildings, we linked them up with a few additional bridges and created an elevated thoroughfare that extend from the existing overhead bridge crossing Tiong Bahru into the complex. Now, rather than rebuilding, all buildings and spaces can be improved with key strategic additions to enhance the use of space. This is a second-story elevated bridge seamlessly extend from the existing overhead bridge over Tiong Bahru in the Delta Sports Center. Continuing from the link bridge at the pool complex, the public passes through the one active bridge while overlooking the hockey pitch, creating a dynamic visual connections with the sport activities below before arriving at the sports hall. This is the previous condition of Delta Sports Center hockey pitch, which once functioned as a stadium for competitions. Interesting fact is that this hockey pitch used to host Commonwealth game back then. But because with the rise of more professional venues elsewhere, the concrete spectators tiers that were once packed during matches have largely remained empty in recent years. So the building next to the spectators, this is the existing sports hall, which houses a small gym and a multi-purpose hall. With the extension of the facilities, we took the opportunity to carry out minor incisional alterations to make the previously enclosed building more open and inviting to the public. Now, this is a recent completed hockey pitch showcase, a thoughtful reconfigurations. The layout was redesigned and the turf was replaced and reused from another sports center. So this turf actually, we also reuse from other sports centers because there are other sports centers that still in good conditions, and we actually ask the client to reuse it instead of creating a new one, or instead of reinstalling a new one. Now, by decisively removing the seating tiers, we transform the space to accommodate futsal and hockey courts, a small hockey five courts. So this area, which used to be the spectator tiers, has now been removed. So what you see here is the rear and the newly renovated sports hall has been transformed from a closed, opaque facade into a welcoming, porous space that invites activity and engagement. By removing the existing walls and facades, we created a more welcoming environment that invites neighboring residents into a lofty hall that now suited for urban sports and community activities. Many of these interventions takes a subtractive approach, where removing elements create a new spatial opportunity and reveals the hidden beauty. On the front facade of the sports hall facing Alexandra Road, the existing opaque brickworks has been replaced with full-height glazing. This is to engage both commuters and the nearby condominium's residents. During this process, the removal of the wall revealed a previously hidden staircase in the corner, creating a visually appealing composition that enhances the overall character of the facades. Later on, you'll see on the next page here. Now, the ground space in front of the sports hall was originally a driveway and car parking areas, which separated the bus stop from the main entrance. To improve accessibility, we repurposed this area as a pedestrian-friendly zone, paving it with a shelter walkway that allows commuters to enter the Delta Sports Centre more conveniently. With the former opaque brick facade replaced by full-height glazing, views from the new dance studio now extend towards a large greenery of the preserved tree. Natural light now fills the interior, transforming what was once a dim corridor into a bright, vibrant, and engaging space. Inside the building, there's an existing indoor sports hall that we have revamped. On the right side, we retain the existing spectator stands and incorporated a few fans along with permanently open high windows to enhance natural ventilation throughout the space. And we removed the left section of the gallery seatings in the indoor hall. This allowed for the addition of 2 new badminton courts. This modification not only expanded the indoor spaces, but also created opportunity for new amenities, including a dance studio and F&B areas. These minimal alterations introduces new programs that activate and revitalize the indoor hall. All buildings and spaces should be respected, but they do need to be updated. This extends to interior spaces as well. Changing contexts need to be understood and responded to, so that affected buildings and spaces can continue to be relevant and last longer without the need for special advocacy efforts. This is our motivation behind the rejuvenation of Delta Sports Centre. There is a significant potential in sustainable design approaches, such as adaptive reuse. We just need to know when and where to apply. Oftentimes, it involves removing elements rather than adding new ones in the design process. When we do edit, it should serve a meaningful purposes. Now, to wrap up my sharing today, I would like to highlight some of the sustainable design approaches I've applied across projects of varying types and skills, including repurposable design fixtures to be resource efficient, thoughtful spatial planning to create a biophilic environments, integrations of passive design principles into a design process, and last but not the least, adaptive reuse of existing spaces through meaningful interventions. These all reflecting a commitment to a practical, thoughtful, and impactful sustainable design. Now, through these design strategies, I hope to show that sustainable design can be both functional and forward-thinking in every project. And thank you, everyone. And before I end the sharing session today, I would like to show you just a short clip of video of Delta Sports Centre. Just for records, I end in 1 hour times. So I'm on time. Thank you for your patience and attention. Thank you, everyone.
All right, thanks everyone. We are moving to Q&A session, and then finally, for those of you who want to get your CVD point, remember to scan your QR code outside. Now, before we begin, we will have the Slido QR code on screen. You guys can scan and type in your question. I just want to share with everyone that it's very happy to have Zeeson with us today. I visited the building. It's very wonderful. It's a very great adaptive reuse building, and I hope us in Malaysia we can do that as well. Just to share that this project not only addressing a sustainable building, but it's also on placemaking and inclusivity. And I want to congrats Red Bin Architect, especially Architect Zeeson, to being receiving one of the recipients on their 15 President's Design Awards, which is one of the highest Singapore prestigious design prize on this building. So it's a wonderful job. Congrats to him. So we give him some break, and then anyone have any question, you can also use the mic if you want, or you can just scan the QR code here. We will proceed the Q&A session. We will allow you to ask questions for around 5 questions, and then if you want to ask physically, we are also welcome you.
Okay, I just think that I need to ask because RB Asia same initial as me. My name is Ruslan bin Abdullah. So I not really comment, but maybe some on the Delta Sport Complex. But I think if you can, the first house, I think if you can show the living room when it rains, see how you know, the space communicate when it rains. Maybe you need that slide. All right. As for the second house, I noticed your staircase have no landing. So is it actually allowed to do that? You know, here we can't. All right. And the Strata Sports Complex, you have a very beautiful elevation on your red building. But I wish you would explore the potential of addressing the high rises, looking at the roof, the big red roof, the big blue roof, and the linking roof. If you can repeat what you did in your elevation on the roof, I think it would be just wow.
Okay, I think there's a series of questions, and I try to recall most of the questions. I'll start with first questions regarding the rain? Yeah. To be frank, I don't think I ever there when it was raining. But with the enough recessed spaces that we created, and also so far the client haven't called me to complain. I assume it works perfectly well. But I do, in the future, I could include the slides to see how we can avoid the rains. Yeah, but to be frank, I mean, like, this is often a question, right? I mean, like, how can we shield the rain, right? Especially in tropical climates. So that is a good question. Now, on the second question, I believe is about the staircases. Now, in Singapore, if you have any rises or steps that less than 18 steps, you don't need to have an in-between landing. Yeah, so there's a Singapore regulations. Yeah, but you do need a landing, of course. And the third question is about the roof. Yeah, now I guess there's a lot of potentials and possibilities of like how we can further develop the design, and assume. I take it as of course, a good feedback. But to answer the questions, if you do realize, we do consider how the views from top. In one of the slides, you realize the floor patterns. Yeah, we actually created in a nice pattern so that from top, it looks like a nice graphics.
You could repeat what you did
on the roof. Yeah, yeah. Fair enough, fair enough. Maybe my next project, I will do it. But it's good, idea, yeah.
Okay, any more questions on the floor? If not, we are going to proceed with the Slido question. I think before we proceed on the question and answer on here, can you just share with us a bit? Because I visited and he tell me a lot of story. Maybe you just tell all of us here, how do you get to join in and work on this project? What is the beginning? Is it called through competition? And what is the challenges you have? Just mention one. I know there's a lot. You know, just mention one so can share with us on this.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, this is a public jobs. So all the firms can go in and bid for it. However, there are like minimum requirements to able to bid for projects. Now, I won't talk about what's requirements, but one of the challenges, I would say that this is actually, I would say we are very fortunate to get these projects. Because when we first get to bidding for these projects, there are 3 different sites. Unfortunately, one of the sites has been like cancelled. And the other side facing some issues, but they managed to complete it. We have the most nicest site because it's at the central of Singapore. Yeah, but to answer your questions, it's through a government bidding systems. Yeah. So we have to submit initial sketches and write-ups.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Now we know how does it work. Now, even me visited the building, I also think it's very red. You know, the floor is red, the wall is red. I can't imagine if I bring my parents there, they'll be complaining like mad. So how do you convince, the authority, the client, you know, to proceed with your idea, even though the concept is red earth and then the site is all this?
I guess they have the belief in us, I suppose. But joke aside, right? Actually, there's a so-called major issues in terms of applying colors into building. Because I think before or after we completed the projects, one of the projects in Singapore is a high-rise apartment, public housings. They were colored with like all red, all yellows. It was actually get feedback from the residents being too overly overwhelmed. Fortunately, it doesn't happen in Delta Sports Centre. And actually, the red, again, so far, we haven't received any feedback. And I assume the public is very happy with the design. But again, joke aside, why we want to use red throughout, it's actually not just because we want to make it outstanding. It become a graphic markers to mark where the public should use this thoroughfare to lead from one space to the other. So it's actually a graphic wayfinding signage, strategies. Yeah.
All right, thanks for sharing. I think we have last 2 questions. One question on the screen here. Can you share with us your experience dealing with the authority, particularly for sport? Because I think this kind of architecture there's a lot of requirement, stringent. You know, you have to have sport requirement compared to private residence that you have done. Any special thing that come across on your project that you get to learn and then you adapt to other projects as well?
I mean, if we talk about specifically of sports, of course, there are like international standards. Like, what is the badminton court size? What is the hockey pitch size? Actually, it's not just the size. It's the buffer zone also. Meaning that beyond the court, what are the areas that you have to cater? Now, to be honest, we learned the hard way along the way because it's our first project as well. So it's really a try and errors. And of course, having the guidance from the clients give us a lot of supports of what we should do. In fact, they give us a guideline what we should adhere to. But having said that, Delta Sports Centre is not a tier 1 so-called sports centre. What it means that there's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Tier 1 is for, of course, international standard competitions. Tier 2 maybe can host like a certain competitions. And tier 3 actually is more recreational. So what it means is that certain type of like courts or requirements we don't have to strictly adhere to. It can be a bit flexible because it's more for the communities.
All right, now we understand there's 3 tier on designing project like this. Just one last question. Can you just share with us what is your key takeaway on the project that you have done? And what is the thing that you think that would have already influenced you in terms of your design philosophy moving forwards?
Well, that's actually a very deep question.
Yeah, because you're the new director on board 2020, right? You are the new face of your company. So how do you bring your company forwards?
Maybe I will start off by saying that the company actually started off by doing a lot of like private housings, and like which Ray mentioned earlier on, like bungalows, terrace house. So we kind of pivot from doing private to public. One of the main reasons, of course, is that personally we really want to do something that can contribute back to the society, something that's meaningful. I'm not saying that doing house is not meaningful, but sometimes doing public projects, you can see how it affects the surrounding communities. That become a motto in our companies that we want to strive and going towards the directions. Now, moving forwards, I would say that we are a very small teams. So when you're small teams, how do you actually stand out from the rest, right? Now, to us, somehow, somewhat, I'll just tell the truth. I actually hate doing A&A projects. Okay, I'm not sure on the floor anyone doing A&A project before. I'm sure maybe you guys have. There's a lot of complications, right? There's a lot of things that you have to deal with it because of the existing issues. However, what I'm trying to say is that because of the context where the firm is in Singapore, where the land is limited, actually addition and alteration projects or adaptive reuse projects become something very crucial. And throughout my practice for more than 10 years is that I finally realized that it's really more meaningful, or rather it's more satisfying when we do A&A project, as I explained in my slides. When I mentioned about, it's not about building a new project and a new project that looks like nice and win a dozen awards, but it can be as simple as creating a linkway connecting two buildings. It's how you resolve the issues and how can you connect it seamlessly, make it very satisfying. And so moving forwards, we wanted to explore more on A&A projects and how can we explore more than just about what I shared today. What we feel based on our experience for the past few years is that, again, subtract or add the elements, make sure that it's purposeful. In fact, a lot of projects, to be honest, by removing elements, you realize that the project looks fairly different, which we demonstrate in DLS Sports Centers. And I hope we can be the expert in A&A projects. And of course, I hope I can do more new projects, but I feel that not just in Singapore, actually in every part of the world, if we can build less and start to, actually I see a lot of chaos, there's a lot of projects that is very, very successful. In fact, I went to a few that give me inspirations of doing the other sports centers. And I hope I can bring these spirits and these ideas to explore more of doing this. And hopefully with that, it become like a new specialized skills that myself and the firm can possess with in the futures. Yeah.
Thanks, Jason. I'm sure you can do it because there's so many upcoming and developing project ongoing. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for your